Hey, bro, I got your stupid crown.
Oh, shit!
Got 3,000, motherfucker. Treat? Treat? You are not an elf. You look like Auntie Ethel.
As the Mayo Clinic once said, when it's kids
Mayo
versus
Clinic.
trampolines, kids often lose. It's time to diagnose some trampoline injuries and
Oh.
give you some stern warnings about trampoline safety at home and at trampoline parks. Let's get started. Pee-whoop.
So many mistakes
On
being
most
made.
weekends, trampoline parks are packed with hundreds of kids bouncing, jumping into pits.
Okay. I'm gonna say this. I know why that the trampolines have like these spaces in between them, so like there's just one person on each one, and I've gone to Sky Zone, so I've felt one of these before. Why are they so goddamn hard? Well, I know the reason. It's so that the trampolines can be supported, so that, and I know why it's there, but I feel like this is just asking. I feel like there could be more done in the spaces in between the trampolines to make it softer, safer, so that if somebody does land on it, they don't break their spine. I just don't know what you would do. But I definitely feel like there could be something. We have the technology, dog. I swear, we have the technology.
And playing tag.
I don't know how more injuries don't happen with so many children at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Trampolines, dangerous on their own. Then they said, let's create a room for 1,000 children to simultaneously knock skulls into one another.
A father unknowingly causes what's known as a double bounce.
The force of the trampoline coming back up from the father's hop across broke the 4-year-old's femur.
God
Oh my
damn.
God, that is the most painful injury ever. The femur is one of the strongest bones in the body. For it to snap like that is just absolutely incredible.
Danger lies in the design. Several trampolines are connected with steel cables or chain links under thin padding.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Why is the padding thin? Why is it thin? Make that shit thick. Why is it thin? Make that shit thick. This just feels like a safety, like, what's it called? I don't want to say violation. Safety, like, ignoration? That's not a fucking word. Like, it feels like they just ignored the safety, which I guess would be a safety violation, but you understand what I'm saying. Like, that padding could be thicker. I don't know why it's so thin. Like, logically. I might be stupid. There might be an actual reason for it to be that thin, like, for some reason, but I don't see a good reason, is my point. I don't see a good reason.
I don't understand how we can't create a safer We really need to put metal springs as the solution for it. We can't create something more bouncy, like a bouncy castle style thing.
As people
Exactly.
jump, waves
That's what
of
I'm talking
energy are
about.
generated in all directions, which can cause those double bounces that can end in high-impact collisions.
I've seen research articles that look at like an 8-9 year period, and they see near million injuries across the United States from trampoline parks or trampolines in general. The fact
A
that we have
million?
so many injuries, I'm surprised.
A fucking million?
Popularity's just skyrocketing.
Nick says Rick was jumping on the trampoline when he came down wrong on his foot.
All right. Speaking of trampoline injuries, y'all, I will say I did get hurt when I went to the Sky Zone trampoline park, but it wasn't that bad. What happened is that we were in that room, in that one like padded trampoline room where you would play dodgeball, and like my cousin was on the other team and I was on that team. So we were on two different teams, and my cousin got the ball, and I had my glasses on, and he threw that sucker like we were in dodgeball class, and he was the bully and I was the nerd. I don't know why he did that shit to me. That was so violent and evil of him, but that shit smacked me right in the face as I was up in the air. So when it hit me in the face, I went backwards and did like a backflip and landed on my face on the trampoline. Thankfully, it wasn't the lightly padded part. I landed on my stomach on the trampoline, so I did a backflip, dog, and that was like, holy shit, what happened just now? I wasn't mad or anything, but I did get up and exit the room for a second because that shit hurt. I wasn't mad or anything at him, at him for it though, because that shit was funny. It was funny to me, even though it hurt.
But stumbled and hit his head against a thinly padded wall.
Damn.
C2 vertebra cracked, constricted his airway and his blood flow.
Did he die?
Paralyzed him. He was over 90% brain dead.
Whenever the spinal cord gets severed, anything below that level gets impacted. So if it happens that high up, you're thinking.
Oh, I saw Eastern Highlands and I thought it was looking at.
And this thinking of every.
I thought we were talking about
below C2,
Highlanders.
which is pretty high up in the neck. That's going to make it difficult, if not impossible, to continue sustaining life.
In the last few years, emergency room visits caused by trampoline park injuries has skyrocketed. According to the Consumer Product Safety Commission, the numbers have shot up from 2,500 in 2013 to almost 18,000 in 2017.
But remember, these are trampoline parks. People have trampolines at home that a lot of times don't have any safety protocols. Like we, from the CDC perspective, encourage people, if you're going to have one, make sure it's happening under adult supervision, make sure there are nets involved. But there's even been surgeons that have been interviewed that talk about children
don't do that.
over the nets and kids that are just watching as bystanders getting hurt in this scenario. They're warning folks because this is happening a lot.
That's my boy is going for the world's first standing triple X squat kaboom.
Whenever there are multiple people on the trampoline, I get nervous, especially if there's a size mismatch, because that makes it more troublesome. They do have a spotter, which is positive.
My sister and I had a trampoline like long time ago when we were like 7 and 8 years old. She's only like a year and a half older than me. Point is, back then, she was way bigger than me. Back then, I was a little small little dude. So when she would jump on a trampoline at the right time, I would go flying, and I would love that shit. But looking back on it, that shit was dangerous. Also, I'm taller than her now. I'm not little now. I'm big. I'm a big dude. Don't come at me. I'm not small no more. I'm taller than her now.
Yo.
Oh, mistakes were made.
No, that's a broken tib fib.
Oh.
That's a very painful injury. For us as medical professionals, what we do on site is actually.
Actually, let me reverse that because I don't.
Yeah.
I'm trying to see. I want to see exactly when that shit hurt. Damn, how do you make it like beat once? It's only 5 seconds. I'm not trying to do that. Whatever. Just. Yep, that's where he fucked up. Right there. That's where he fucked up at.
Yo.
Oh no, that's a broken tib fib.
Oh.
That's a very painful injury. For us as medical professionals, what we do on site is actually very limited. If we see neurovascular compromise, meaning that the lower leg is not getting circulation or some kind of loss of sensation, we may try and do a reduction in the field. But usually we reserve that for the operating room and the orthopedic surgeons when they have a protected environment and you're not doing this outside. You have the proper tools at your disposal.
At first glance, it could be a scene from a backyard barbecue, but look a little closer. That's 11-year-old Gavin Reynolds and his friend
he on the ground
jumping on a trampoline when suddenly
okay, never mind.
A strong gust of wind sends the trampoline.
Oh shit!
Oh my god! See, like these are the trampoline injuries that you can't really predict, or the time so use the trampoline, like they go.
Why are you right there?
Someone jumps on it and they get hurt.
Home surveillance video capturing Gavin hobbling to the front door.
What do you tell your parents? Mom, the trampoline blew.
Okay, that is not on the kids. That is a complete accident. I mean, I guess there could have been some prevention by like wrapping down the trampoline somehow. But other than that, that's unfortunate.
Across the road.
Ambulances rushing the boys to the hospital, Rhodes suffering a fractured pelvis and elbow, Gavin dealing with back pain and bruises from the fall. And clearly both boys are recovering this morning, but we saw right there they are doing well.
Yeah,
They all right.
that they're doing well. It's very
They
easy
all
to
right.
have a head injury in a situation like that. Remember, when anyone is brought to the hospital, part of what we do in deciding what scans to get is based on the mechanism of injury. And a child sent 50 feet flying because of a gust of wind on a trampoline, landing on a hard surface like cement, is getting pan scanned with a head CT, abdomen CT, a pelvic CT, all of it.
We're at a trampoline park. Do it. Just go for it.
Don't do it. Ah, that arm is gone.
You've been in bed all day. Do you want to tell them why?
Okay, so do you remember when this happened when I went trampolining?
What do you mean? I thought it was his arm.
Pan scan.
It looked like his arm to me, not his leg. Okay, so maybe he did brace his arm correctly. Maybe it's his ribs or some shit. I don't know. It just looked like his arm to me.
Harry, you've been in bed all day. Do you want to tell them why?
Okay, so do you remember when this happened when I went trampolining?
Boom.
Oh,
You can feel it when your dream becomes a pursuit. And with vitiligo, the pursuit for your pigment is no exception. It's time you had a proven choice to help restore.
did he break his arm?
So it turns out I actually bruised
Ribs.
rib there.
All right.
And so
It was his ribs.
For the next foreseeable future.
A lot of times it's very difficult to distinguish whether or not a rib has been broken or just bruised. There's also sensitive tissue in that area that can get easily inflamed, and when you take deep breaths, it can be quite painful. Even x-rays aren't perfect at this. Like there are rib series we can get that are dedicated x-rays for the ribs. Those expose you to more radiation than the typical flat plate. But then the gold standard to finding those small rib fractures is really an MRI. But again, in most cases, we're not going to be doing much unless it's displaced or perhaps the lung is injured, causing a pneumothorax. Oh no, why?
How to tear your ACL.
Oh, you didn't make it.
What?
Thorax. Oh no, why?
How'd he tear it?
Oh, you didn't make it. Wait, help us.
Is he okay? I couldn't even tell what happened.
I can't either. It looked fine. He looked like he was fine.
We got some special attention right here.
The fact that he's checking the patella is not very valuable.
When you laterally dislocate the kneecap, it slides over and as you straighten your knee, it pops back. Yeah, that's what happens. So I did dislocate it there.
I don't know. Looks like there's a little laxity there, pulling forward on the anterior jaw.
His ligaments are good. His ligaments are good. His ligaments are good.
Okay. I was about to say, I don't think his ligaments are good. And the way that you do it is you actually compare it to the other knee because you don't know what laxity is. Like you need to feel the endpoint on the healthy knee and then check it on the not so healthy knee.
So I get to the second doctor. He does some tests on my knee. He basically confirmed that my ACL was torn on my right leg and that I'm gonna need surgery.
Hold up, let's go back.
And then check it on the.
That knee looks
So I
stretchy.
get to the second doctor. He does some tests on my knee.
Stretchy
He
leg.
basically confirmed that my ACL was torn on my right leg and that I'm gonna need surgery.
The ACL provides support for your knee to avoid it from sliding forward, and that's really important because that gives your knee stability. If you have a damaged ACL, that can predispose you to having higher rates and earlier diagnosis of osteoarthritis later in life.
The only giveaway as DeAndre Hearn walks his two daughters to track practice is the slight hitch in his step.
The feeling of not being able to feel is mentally scary and scarring.
It's not just scary and scarring, it's both of those things, but it's also dangerous in the sense where you may not be able to pick up injuries. This is why so often
I had surgery on my back once, and after that was done, I could not feel like anything on my back. Anything. There's still places. Well, I've mostly got all of the feeling back here, but some places are still like somewhat numb, and I don't think those places are ever going to actually get better. They're probably going to feel like that for the rest of my life. Don't get back surgery unless you absolutely need it.
then part of my exams, when I have a patient who's diabetic and doesn't have good sensation in their feet, I have to check it for cuts, for areas of infection, because someone who has diabetes and has peripheral neuropathy, which is dysfunction of the nerves in the distal extremities, the feet and the hands, they can actually have damage to those areas, be walking on a rock and not even realize it because they don't have the sensation. But this can also be trauma-induced as well.
I jumped in on my second attempt, and that's when I got injured. Next thing I know is I heard a pop, and immediately I felt a hot sensation and no more feeling from my chest down.
This reminds me of a similar situation that you guys sent across my social media when during TwitchCon, one of the streamers
I remember
jumped
this.
in and ended up breaking her spine in multiple places.
I remember
because
that.
It felt like there weren't enough foam squares inside the foam pit. You're allowing people to get hurt in your establishment. Isn't that the last thing you want? This is an area where we know people are going to be moving fast, jumping high. So you know you got to brace for impact. You know you got to make sure your safety standards are on point.
After surgery, DeAndre remained paralyzed. Doctors told him he might never walk again.
He's walking, though.
Talk about the
He's walking.
we give patients after a spinal injury because it's not always right. We don't know what the outcome will be with 100% certainty in most cases. Sometimes there can be a spinal contusion that could be causing symptoms like paralysis, numbness, tingling, and we don't know exactly how long those symptoms will last until a few days go by and we start seeing the rehab process kick in. That's why it's important we counsel patients that we don't know yet what's going to happen, comfort them during a moment of unknowing, but making promises or even statements like you'll never walk again is not really helpful because it's not coming from a place of good judgment.
Just slowly progressed from standing to taking a few steps.
Wait, was he a police officer?
Learning how to walk again. From there, learning to go with the walker.
I would have to watch him through the pain, through the suffering, through the depression.
We take for granted in many instances that we are able to walk, that we do have our own independence. But when those things are taken from us because we need to ambulate with assistance, we start realizing how important those things were. And it really highlights that common phrase that we say, you don't miss something until it's gone. A lot of times we start taking for granted those very small things in life that then when we are able to win them back, they mean the world to us.
Well, he's dead.
Oh my God. See, this is where the spinal injuries happen during these types of spins, when you get hyperextension of the thoracic spine. Remember, the spine has special curves.
I do not like watching this, so why am I?
Standing up. So for example, in the cervical area, you have lordosis, where the spine is curved in. Then on the thoracic spine, it's kyphosis, the opposite, where it's curved out. And then lumbar, again, you have the lordosis. So here on the area of his spine, the middle of his spine, the thoracic area, he's having hyperextension of kyphosis, where it's naturally supposed to be curved the other way. So you're getting tremendous amount of pressure on not just the spinal cord, but the nerves that come off of it as well. Oh my God, and they tear too? You got to figure that most people are keeping their trampolines outside. So they're not like well maintained, so that they're not going to hold up well. They're going to snap, they're going to hurt somebody. You got to be really careful around these things. Incredible situations, but these are incredible world records with human bodies. Check it out. It really made me...
I'm watching a lot of Dr. Mike today.
As always, stay happy and healthy.
Watching a lot of Dr. Mike today.